Hey, welcome to the best damn arm wrestling sports show with your host Kody Big Spur Merritt, along with Reza and Scott.
Yo, what's up, Cody? How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. Doing all right.
Yeah, so how have you been? What's going on with you, man, in the arm wrestling scene?
Just getting older. Turned 50, turned 50 this year, and I started realizing I'm a lot closer to the end than I am the beginning.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
they're only halfway there. You're halfway there.
If I make it to 100, that's going to be something else.
that's pretty magical. I mean,
Yeah,
I'll be 40 in
but
2 years, so I'm climbing the ladder too.
I keep thinking that I don't have a lot of time left in this sport where I know I can arm wrestle for years and years, but at the level that you're used to arm wrestling at, I just keep wondering when is that going to be done? Because you got to age out sooner or later. But I seem to be doing okay. I feel like I'm as strong as I've ever been.
Yeah. So
Um,
how's
so
how's training going, and are you preparing for anything up and coming, or?
well, yes and yes, I am preparing for something, but it's not till. So I was supposed to have a match next month, middle of July, with Travis,
Oh,
but I don't think it's going to happen. It was a show that he's putting on. He wanted to do it here in Salt Lake, so he reached out to me to help with it. But um I haven't heard anything from him. I haven't seen a flyer. I haven't no information whatsoever, and we're what 2.5, 3 weeks away.
yeah. There's definitely not enough time for.
So I don't think that's going to happen. Um, so there's a few things in August, nothing too serious. The qualifier for the World Series of Arm Wrestling. Then I want to go to the finals in November in San Diego. But I do have a super match scheduled for September 9th in Toronto against Pablo. So that's my next big event.
You
And
you actually
Pablo is,
recently trained with him, didn't you? With Bob Brown, or that was the
yeah,
last?
yeah. He came out to Bob's to get some of Bob's wisdom and help him. Everybody knows Pablo's an amazingly strong individual. And he wanted to get some arm wrestling technique and skill behind that strength. So he thought Bob could maybe help him with that. And yeah, so Bob came out. He came out, and Bob was working with him, and we went down to a big practice, and I got to hook up with him just to kind of help him with some of that training and see if we couldn't get him progressing forward. And we,
Actually got footage of the training right here. It looks like
that dude is fat. Holy moly!
it definitely looks like you had substantial hand control on him there. I mean,
Yeah,
you guys mostly
it,
pulled
it. Go
mostly
ahead. Sorry.
you guys mostly pulled left-handed, or do you guys put any right hand in as well? I know that your dominant
So
left is your left hand is really your your golden ticket essentially.
yeah, so I'm actually right-handed, but for some reason or another, my left hand just works better on the table. I don't know why, but we were working with Pablo trying to teach him how to use that kind of a low hand, lead with your wrist, attack the fingers type of move, and that's what we were working on here to kind of teach him that. He always just relies on arm strength and and we're trying to keep. By the end of the day, he was picking it up and he was really causing a lot of issues for me.
Now,
But yeah, he's a strong dude.
do you think that's something you'd be able to counter against him if you guys did pull that super match, for example?
Well, what I'm hoping for is um, my speed. He's more of a catcher than a initiator. So I'm hoping that in the super match I can get him off the go and exploit that a little bit. And I think once I get him opened up with maybe some pressure in his fingers, I'll have an opportunity to win there. But if he stops it, it could be a long day for me for sure.
Well, it looks like even when you guys were climbing that you were gaining control over his hand, and essentially that
Well,
you let off, and he was able to take a little control. I don't know, did you let off in that previous setup that you guys had there, or was it a situation where he was actually regaining control right about?
um, I don't remember, to be honest,
Okay.
Reza.
Yeah, yeah.
But I do know that by the end of the time we were working together, he was feeling very strong and very dominant.
So you definitely got
Um,
good power endurance, obviously.
yeah, we worked on some hook stuff as well. and helping him learn how to kind of manipulate his elbow in different angles to work on that as well. So he got a lot of I got tired and he didn't seem to get tired very fast. So
You definitely want to beat him off the go. And how
yeah,
did
for
you
sure.
feel? Where did you feel better against him, in the straps or outside of the straps?
Well, outside of the straps, I felt pretty good because we were working on his hands, but right here you could see he was taking my hand there pretty easily.
And also, let me see something here. It looks like you're setting up a little lower than him if you look there, which it seems actually you guys are probably at the same angle, but he definitely rose right there. He definitely took a nice little post, which gave him a slight advantage there.
Yeah, I was trying to teach him that if he were able to kind of, Bob calls it a fishing move, when you kind of slide your elbow forward and drop your knuckles and lead with that wrist
Yep.
to kind of post up. We were trying to teach him how to do that and kind of swing around through my fingers. And he actually kind of figured out by the end of this training session, and he felt really strong.
It definitely looked like in the strap he was starting to figure it out by this point in the training. Is this later in the day at this point in the footage?
I mean, I think we were on the table with each other maybe 15, 20 minutes max. I don't know. But yeah, he felt really good right there when he'd start to post. And you can see Bob's kind of, and I'm just trying to hold him off there, but he's working through my fingers easy enough.
And then once you give it to him a few times, then it kind of just opens the door for harsh reality to follow, right?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Once that wrist breaks back, it just wants to keep going back. That's what I've experienced personally.
Yeah.
That was a good start though, right there. That last start right
Yeah.
here. He's
Yeah, and I was able to work through that, but he still got my wrist there by the end of it. He was really picking up on that pulling back through the fingers situation.
he's definitely come a long way in the last few years. Definitely in the last 5 years, anyways.
He did just have recently have surgery on his left. I think it was his bicep. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
So he is in the middle of a recoup. But he's back in the gym. He's lifting. He's not back to full strength, but I think by the time September gets here, he should be pretty dang close.
Now, have you pulled him at tournament before, or this is?
Yeah, we've arm wrestled, I want to say, twice in a tournament.
Results
Once in
wise.
Kansas City in an overall, and I flashed him there. I didn't even realize who he was at that time, but he was super strong. And then at a nationals in Texas, the one for the IFA Worlds. Okay. I went down to that, and we didn't actually pull in the tournament. We did after the tournament, we kind of just set up and did a ready go slow pull, not a hit.
Oh, okay. So it was a slow pull. Okay, that was the question.
Yeah, it wasn't a hit. It was just a slow pull, and it took everything I had to beat him. He is if he gets engaged, he's incredibly strong.
Yeah, once the power is there, I mean, essentially, I've always seen you as explosive, and the power endurance is probably a big factor that you're probably going to want to work on just in case he does stop you or block you in some way, and also him training with you and Bob kind of gave him a little bit of knowledge. So now he knows where to attack because he's obviously put you in negative positions. So it's definitely something that you're going to kind of want to go back, reevaluate your game plan and strategize specific for him. You've obviously pulled him, so you know where you need to go.
Yeah, I agree. I think we both learned some valuable lessons about each other in that training. We were both fresh when we started. I was his first left and he was my first left. So we wanted to do that so we could get full strength in his training and get as much as we could out of it.
Yeah, it's a hard reality.
How long have you been arm wrestling?
Like 27 years now. 27. But I took a big break. My first wife didn't appreciate the arm wrestling scene as much as I did.
I had one of those.
and it wasn't just that. It was like we just didn't get along well. She felt like I was putting more time into activities and hobbies than in family and work. And so we ended up getting divorced, but I had quit arm wrestling to kind of make her happy. And then we got divorced like a year later. And then I had taken like 9.5 years off. And my current wife, Jolene, and I were watching the Wall finals in 2015, and it was Eric Fell against Travis in the finals, and it was 20,000 for first and 10,000 for second.
Nice.
And prior to me leaving, I had a win over Eric, and I had beaten him in a national championship in Tahoe, and like I felt like that, that's my money. That I know I could beat Eric.
You were
I'd never
inspired.
actually arm wrestled Travis, but I said to my wife, I said, "Do you mind if I start training?" Because I actually said, "That's my money. I that should be my money."
Yeah. 20 grand's a good chunk of dough.
Yeah. So I started training just shortly after that, September of 2015, and I entered my first event, like I want to say in October, or maybe it was September is when I entered my first event. And then I hit the Wall stuff in 2016 and made the finals, and ended up losing on how they did the two separate brackets. Travis was on one bracket, I was on the other bracket. I ended up losing to Ryan Espy, and he got to arm wrestle Travis, but I ended up pulling Jerry Cataract on the other side for third and fourth. And I popped my elbow against him with his shoulder press. And so I ended up taking fourth in that 2016 Wall. And that was kind of my start back to really getting serious about it.
Yeah, that
Nice.
2016.
Now, I remember
final was crazy.
you pulling didn't you pull Ryan Espy for the World Championships in 2018?
Yes, that was in Turkey. I did. I pulled him for the Masters World Championship. We had I went into it as the undefeated because he elbow fouled to put me into the championship, and then when he got to the championship against me, I elbow fouled twice in a row against him, so he won the world championship, and I lost. Took silver because of elbow fouls.
Man, that hurts. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had that happen to me left-handed. They said the tip of my elbow came off the front, which is just skin. You know what I mean? And I ended up getting fouled out as well against the Canadian guy. And I would have won that class too.
I remember you flew through that class like it was nothing. You were crushing people.
Well, right-handed, I did really well. I went undefeated all the way to the finals, and then the Italian fouled completely off the back of the table, and they didn't call the foul, and I should have protested, but I was so mad. I was just come on, let's just go again.
Yeah.
Hermes ended up beating me.
That's why you need to have like a team captain who wants you to win, Bubba.
You know what? Yeah, you know what? Our captain was I think Badger.
It was Badger Drews.
Yeah, we should have definitely protested. Like I said, I was just mad, and I just said, "Fuck it, let's just go again," and that was a mistake.
I mean, the Kazakhstan team captain, he protests every bad call.
Yeah.
Protest. I mean, like, yeah.
Well, now the last time I went, 2019, you had to pay. Was it 50 euros or 100 euros? I can't remember what it was. You had to pay to protest.
Yeah, you always have. I know 2012 you had to pay it back then too. So if you protest,
every time I've gone to Zloty, it's 50 euros. That's not true. Yeah, probably the same at Worlds.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's kind of the history of my arm wrestling. Since 2016, I've been kind of going on an upward, gradual climb. I had went undefeated from after that loss to Ryan. I didn't lose until my match against Artem Morozov was my first loss since 2018 and I pulled him in 22. When did I pull him? I can't remember. It was in East versus West 3, I think. So I went undefeated for some time. Then I lost to him, and then I lost to Kody, and then I lost to Alajon, and had like 3 big losses in a row. And so I lost my number 1 ranking in North America to Kody, and Corey's a beast. Corey's like just an enormous human being.
Corey West is like
And luckily enough, I was able to meet him up again in the World Series of Arm Wrestling last November, and he fouled out against me, and I was able to regain my number 1 ranking. But it wasn't off of beating Corey; it was off of him fouling. So he very well could be the stronger, better arm wrestler. I just had a better day that day, I guess. But
how's your back doing? No, you had back surgery, and I know you just performed East vs. West in Orlando last weekend.
yeah, so my back it's kind of, so I had 3 bulging discs in my lower back, the L4, 5, that was the worst one. Then I had the 2 above it, the 3 and the 2. They went in and just kind of cut out bone and relieved area around the disc so it would take away from all the nerve pain. So most of the nerve pain is kind of going away, but now I have like weak, sore back issues, and I just got to get that strengthened, and that's what I've been working on now. It doesn't seem to affect my arm wrestling a lot unless I have to stand for long periods of time. Then it starts to kind of weaken and cramp up a little bit.
Yeah.
What about like rowing motions or lat dragging, where it really focuses on your thoracic spine? It doesn't affect you in any way.
Nope, the upper back doesn't hurt at all. It's all that lower down,
Yeah.
the very bottom of the back. It doesn't affect any of it. Like I don't feel any pain when I arm wrestle.
It's really good. It's really
Yeah.
good.
I know, because I got 2 titanium discs, L4,
Uh-huh.
L5, S1, and it definitely changed the way I arm wrestle. Like you'll notice, like I don't really hold my body up against the table, nor do I really wrap my leg. Very seldomly, like I will, like if I need to, but for the most part, my body's not like really pushing up against the table. It's odd, but it
You're
works.
not pivoting off the torso on the
Yeah.
back of the
Where I
torso.
used to get the bruises, and the
Yeah.
hip, and you knew you were doing the right thing, right? But yeah, it's not conductive for my back to do that. So
Well, I'm hoping that I don't have to get any like titanium discs or any like fused discs. I'm hoping that's not the case. I'm going to try and I've been going to physical therapy, and I'm starting up CrossFit again when I get back from my family reunion, and I'm going to work just on body weight stuff and strengthen that back as much as I possibly can. Plus, I need my cardio work, and that's like you were saying, Rez. I really need to work on my endurance, and that's my plan to do that for Pablo for sure.
Yeah, I would be, if I was in your shoes, Kody, personally, I'd be working like 3 by 30 by 3 isolation. So hold 30 seconds, hold 30 seconds, hold 30
Yeah.
seconds, hold 30 seconds, hold 30 seconds, hold 30 seconds, take a 5-minute break. So it's like 3 minutes of non-stop isolations, really building that power endurance with like 60 to 75% of your max.
Mm-hmm.
Just slowly build that max number up and get that power endurance in.
At our practices, I at the end of each practice, I have all my guys just king of the table me with, and one guy holding on to a band.
Oh, that's
So I'm
really
pulling
good.
through the band and through them, and just trying to get as much pump and fatigue in my forearm and wrist as I can.
does that really work?
Oh yeah, like there's no way they don't give me any resistance otherwise. So they put that band, I actually wrap it through my hand. So it's not pulling again, it's actually pulling through my hand. So it works on my maintaining my hand strength as well.
Something I used to do with, I have a really good hand, but obviously my body is not as big. But when I would pull with a lot of like heavier guys, is simply grabbing the wrist and pulling through the hand. And if you have like a close strength in the hand, not necessarily the big muscle categories. If you have someone who's smaller who has a really good hand, they can essentially grab their wrist and work through your hand a little bit without compromising your wrist and putting you in negative positions. Because I've always had the mantra of try and avoid negative positions, especially on the wrist and training, and build those positive movements, all positive movements as much as possible. So one of the downside to a lot of bigger arm wrestlers is they're always allowing themselves to get to the negative side of the table because they're so much stronger than their training partners, and then they're coming back versus just starting in the center, going in positive, so
that's one of the reasons I like the rubber band, because it lets me start in the center, and I have to actually work to maintain center there.
Yes, sir. Now, I guess 2 years ago, funny enough, me and Scott actually hosted this event at the Mr. Olympia. You pulled Dave Chafee.
Oh yeah, that was my first time ever pulling Dave. I was actually very anxious about that match.
Yeah, that was I mean, it looked fairly easy. I mean, you literally just it looked like he was surprised, and you had a perfect cadence. But One thing that I do find interesting with Dave is he has his amazing days and he has his completely off days, and it seems like in the last few years he's had quite a few off days.
Yeah. So before that match, Dave came up to me and he's like, I probably don't have much. I'm going to give you all I have. So he didn't think he was on a very good day that day, but he went through the right-handed class like it was nothing.
Yeah, he did.
So, and Dave doesn't arm wrestle a lot left-handed. I just think there was so much money there. He thought he could bring in a couple dollars.
Yeah.
And Dave's a great guy and he's incredibly strong. He's similar to Pablo in the fact that he's actually gotten to be really good at top rolling lately, but before that he was more just a hand control side arm guy, but he's really worked on other techniques. He's even got a flop press in there I've seen in the last little bit.
Yeah, but that looked like a compromised flop press. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, but he did it to win and it worked.
He did, but it was like on the verge of, I mean, potential injury, in my opinion. I mean,
Reza, are you on location for Game of Arms or something right there, or what?
I am Game of Arms. No, I'm just joking.
In those warehouses?
Yeah, we gotta bring it back to Game of Arms times, bro. That shit was that was the last show that I personally feel was fire. Now, a match that really interests me personally was you and Alizon, Cody. Now,
That one doesn't interest me very much.
well, something I wanted to point out here, and I know that I've watched a lot of your matches, and when you close your hand, you tend to engage your carve, and even when you're training with Pablo, you were starting to carve in on your setup. Well, you close your hand. Did you see how Alizon's hand just rose a little bit as you closed your hand?
Yep.
Did that bother you? Did you? And obviously, it almost seemed like the ref closed his hand higher on your hand versus just closing his hand. I mean,
well, in the heat of the moment, I didn't really notice it as much, and I didn't feel it.
Yes.
I went into this match feeling like I'd watched him control people's hands like amazingly. So I went into this match just thinking in my head that he was going to have a stronger hand. I was going to have a stronger arm just because of size and strength. I just thought I would have the better arm. So I was really worried about getting a good start and getting him to my side of the table. Well, when I watched this back, I saw that when they closed his hand, they started him, he had a pretty good bend in his wrist, which good for him. He was able to make that work.
Well, you pointed at it. You pointed at it right there. I mean, you point something right there. It probably was his wrist flexion engagement at the beginning of the match.
And I got a good hit on him, but he was able to catch me in the hook. And when he did that, like, I did not realize how much power he had, and he just tore me all the way back across that table.
And he definitely rode with his lat. You see him bring his elbow back. He rose with his lat and then does that just a sweeping European style hook on you. And again, the Kazakis, the Georgians, the Europeans, their inside rotation, inward rotation is stupid. I mean, I've lost to them myself, and it's harsh reality. It sucks, man.
After that first round, I was able to I had Bob Brown on the phone with my daughter. And he's like, go straight back. So my daughter's yelling out, Bob says hit straight back. So I was able to make the match a little bit more interesting after that, because I was able to hit into his fingers, and I realized I actually had the better hand. I just had to keep his wrist straight, and I would compromise it. He would automatically just flop and slip.
He went straight into the professional slip, as you can see here.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you take right there, you engage the wrist flexion,
Yep.
He's palm up, which is terrible positioning. And then essentially he's just like, and the thing that makes no sense to me is that actually wasn't even a professional slip. That was the most intentional slip, because he came straight back with it versus diving down with it.
Yeah.
So it's just, I'm not going to say anything negative about the refs, because I've refed with both of those guys personally. I think if I was refing personally, I would have called that as an intentional. And, I think he kind of got away with a little bit there. And
But like I felt pretty confident in the hand after that. I could not get a good enough start to get his wrist flattened. And that's where I kind of ended up getting in trouble. But I could hit back and I could keep him straight for a minute, but he would eventually be able to suck it in. And I realized later it was after I would kind of give up, like I would kind of reset.
Now right here, right
I think I came
about
off the side of the
right there.
elbow pad.
Right
Yeah.
there, were you engaging side pressure in your setup? Or
No.
he just let off pressure? Or what happened there where your hand moves over an inch?
Well, I think that the ref, this is just before the goal, and the ref said we got to go towards Alajon.
Oh, okay. So he was just recentering you guys. Okay.
Yeah, so we were just getting center. And then when I went back that time, I came off the side of the
Came
pad
off
for
the
an
back
elbow
of the
foul. That's
pad.
why they restarted us there.
Yeah, he pushed with his tricep.
Well, Ali was in. I think that he was intentionally driving his elbow off the pad, and he wanted to make it into a match of endurance, knowing that Kody had such an explosive move. So he knew that if he could
Yeah, it was
just
a good move. That was
play
neat.
play with the setups, put you in elbow foul positions, make it so you guys are resetting multiple times, then it plays into his favor because it's more of an endurance match versus a power match.
Yeah. I like Alajon. He's a really good kid. He's a great guy.
Yeah, it looks
Very
good.
technical puller. I mean, very
Yeah.
technical puller. You're talking about
He's actually invited me to go hunting with him in Kazakhstan.
Nice. So
See, I'm able to contain that, but every time I let up, then he sucks it in there a little bit further, and I kind of screw myself. But he elbow fouled there.
what do you prefer doing? You prefer hooking or top
Oh
rolling?
no. I'm a low hand top roller, low hand. I should say low hand pronation side pressure guy.
Right.
okay. So you're going.
Pronate and then
I
pretty
like to
much
call
all
that the
side.
crane. That I
What's
call
that?
the crane. I call it the crane because you it's a high top roll, right? You're cracking through the wrist and
Yeah.
trying to top roll through the fingers. So it's like not going through your knuckles, but going through your wrist.
Exactly.
I've nicknamed it the crane for myself.
Bob calls it fishing. You like setting the hook.
Right. Yeah.
So
I just call it a low hand.
but that's my move. It's not really a back pressure. I do have good back pressure, like lat back pressure, but my best move is if I usually have pretty good pronation with my left wrist. It just works really well, and then I can usually go sideways pretty good with it.
Now, what do you think the power of your technique is? If I was to say, like, is it your wrist flexion initially? Is it your ability to pronate with wrist flexion combination? Is it really you just dragging, or from your perspective, where would you say like your the power of your move?
I don't necessarily think it's not wrist flexion as much as it is pronation. Like I can pronate really well, even with a flat wrist. I can still pronate pretty good.
Okay.
So I would say the pronation is probably the most important. And once if I can get that pronation with a little flexion, then the side pressure normally kicks in pretty good there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Especially you got big pec, big back muscles, lat. That's all that side pressure coming into play.
I got a flabby pec called
Hey,
a
but there's a
moob.
lot of muscle behind it, bro.
So what'd you think of Orlando?
I thought it was a great event.
That was awesome.
It was super fun. I really enjoyed the setup of the pit setup with everybody around you. I really liked having the commentator for the Travis and Derek, that you could hear him in the crowd as well as live on the podcast or the live show. I loved the whole thing. I thought it was amazing. They treated us really, really well.
Yeah, I think it was one of the best East versus West so far. I really do.
It was the funnest one that I've been to. Well, one I won it finally. But it was super fun. I thought they treated us really well. Ingen's always treated me well. I've always been happy to go over and pull for Ingen. He's an awesome dude. But this one it was just a good time. And plus I didn't have to fly for 15, 16 hours to get to it.
That's a big plus.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it was a stacked card and I enjoyed it. I'm so glad I went. Like that was spur of the moment.
Uh-huh.
There was a possibility I was gonna ref, but they didn't I should probably should have ref because there was some faulty calls there, and I heard that Egan, how do you say his name again?
Ingen.
Ingen?
He made
Yeah.
a phone call and turned over a call from Turkey.
I had heard that too, but I don't know if that's accurate or not. I heard that, but I don't know how true it is.
Yeah, I think it was an elbow foul, but yeah, I don't know if it was or not, but I guess it was pretty bad. Like I saw a few really big elbows that weren't called.
Yeah.
For the most part, it was pretty good.
I actually was happy with my refs. I've had Oleg ref me in the past at Knuckles Up. He did an awesome job there, and I've pulled with Tim multiple times, and I think they're both great refs. I didn't have any problems with the referees in my match. I thought they did a great job.
Nice. Very cool.
Kody, good luck for your training, and good luck for this next super match coming up with Pablo.
Well, thank you.
We definitely got to get you back on the show. I enjoyed our conversation today, bro.
Anytime. I enjoy doing this stuff. So if I can help you guys in any way, you let me know.
Right on, man. We appreciate it. Good talking with you, Kody.
Right on.
Bro.
We'll see you soon.